One of the biggest effects of climate change, our planet is losing its ice. Scientists say the ice losses fueled by global warming now total more than 1.2 trillion tons a year. A recent UN climate report says ice sheet and glacier melt are the main contributors to rising sea levels that threaten to swamp coastal cities. Senior national and environmental correspondent, that's been Tracy, has visited Iceland, where ice covers 10% of the country. But now that country is rapidly losing all of its glaciers.
So this is your office.
It is.
This is amazing.
I love my office.
I would too.
We met glaciologist M. Jackson on top of one of her favorite places in the world.
Let's talk about this giant piece of ice we're standing on.
Yeah.
What is this called?
So we're on the glacier Breiðamerkurjökull, right? This is Iceland's third largest glacier, and it flows right off of the Vatnajökull ice cap.
That's the largest glacier mass in Europe, more than half a mile thick in some parts. It is now dissolving before our eyes.
How quickly is this melting?
It's roughly around 450 feet per year.
That whole expanse, was that all the glacier at one point?
Absolutely. Everything between where we are and the North Atlantic Ocean, that was all covered with ice. And that glacier's gone now. So if you want to know what the future looks like, just look right there.
Getting to this glacier now requires a 30-minute hike over dry land that just a few years ago was covered in ice. Jackson, who lives in Oregon, has been studying Iceland's glaciers for more than a decade.
What exactly is happening here on Iceland?
There's roughly 400 glaciers on this island, and the majority of them are melting at rates never before seen in human history. This island is losing its ice. Every time I come back to this glacier, I don't believe my eyes. And I am watching them dissolve, I'm watching them die right in front of me.
And to see that, she took us inside this ice cave.
The pattern that the ice makes, it's so cool.
To show us what is essentially the melting glacier's plumbing system.
All that water has to go somewhere, and it makes these tubes. So we see these tubes are bigger than they've ever been before to transport all that water. These tubes would naturally happen, but the scale of them is unnatural.
And that's because of human-caused climate change. Ice all over the planet is rapidly melting. Scientists say all that water rushing into the world's oceans is not only making sea levels rise, but could also be changing the ocean circulation and fueling more extreme weather events such as hurricanes and heat waves. M. Jackson and her fellow researchers have launched a unique effort to bring attention to the very real possibility that Iceland could lose nearly all of its ice in the next 100 years.
Driven to witness the ice before it's gone.
They produced a short film called After Ice, using historical photos paired with new drone footage to show the rapid retreat of the island's glaciers.
What we are witnessing here is an event that we've never seen before.
Glacier researcher Thori Aronson is part of the team behind the film.
What do you want people to take away from that when they see it?
An idea of hope, an idea of resistance. It's sad to see all of this beauty being devastated, but we have to say, I'm not going to allow this to continue indefinitely.
Iceland held a glacier funeral back in 2019 after a 700-year-old sheet of ice shrunk so much it was essentially declared dead by scientists. Iceland has now lost so much ice that with less weight from the glaciers, the land is rising. That's making some harbors shallower and harder for boats to navigate. And scientists are also worried about more volcanic eruptions as the ground here becomes increasingly unstable without glaciers holding it in place.
Ready to go find some icebergs?
Yeah.
Before we left, M. Jackson wanted us to see one more thing. This place she calls a glacial graveyard.
This is broken down bits of glaciers that have been here for centuries.
We paddled through a paradox.
You are watching total collapse.
A lagoon of beautiful destruction.
So a couple of decades ago, could we have done this? Could we have been paddling through here?
Not a couple decades ago. When I first started my field work out here 12, 11 years ago, I walked from land to ice. But now I take a boat to get to these glaciers. The change is that quick.
But she has not lost hope. She says we can still keep the planet from overheating and give the glaciers a chance to grow.
We're losing ice, and we're going to lose a lot more ice. But that does not mean that ice is gone forever on the planet. Ice can grow back, but that means you and I have to act now. I want people to think about the future with ice, and that's what I fight for.
For CBS Mornings, Ben Tracy in Iceland.
So they put it out there and they want us to do what? You said, because we look at it and we think, we all lament it. Now what to do about it?
This is not about saving the ice, it's about saving us. It's not about saving the planet, it's about saving us. It's about a home for our children. And what people can do is vote. So collectively, we as a people, as a planet, can enact policies that slow global warming. Or take a really big risk.
For those that are familiar with that area, it hits differently because it hits home.
Yes.
And unfortunately, for us, it takes that sometimes for it to actually hit home for us to realize how serious
I mean, you want to talk about home? Glacier National Park here in the United States is going to run out of glaciers also. No more ice by the end of this century, according to federal scientists. So it's an issue.
Yeah, I didn't like Ben's phrase, beautiful destruction.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, and you don't want to see us lose that.
No, you don't.